Hello, good evening and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester and thank you for joining us for episode 135. Tonight we'll give you our match and player analysis of Wolves' 1-0 defeat on the South Coast. We'll be asking a penny for Jeff's thoughts. That'll be an interesting section. Take some of your questions and look ahead to the cup game against West Ham and the home game against home game against Everton next Saturday, which already feels absolutely enormous. The podcast wasn't going to be until a bit later in the week, but we had a group chat yesterday. We said we're going to get over and done with. Let's do it. Let's strike while the iron's hot. So I'm delighted to have Nocky and Tyler both giving up their Sunday evenings. I'm sure they're going to be joyful and leave you happy leaving this show. Maybe not. Nocky, let's get straight to business. Bournemouth 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Your take?
You could almost have just copy and pasted my review from last week, to be honest, because it was very similar. There was no lack of effort. There was no lack of work rate. The effort was there. The application was there, but we're just badly lacking quality, aren't we? The frustrating thing for me was after you shit 4 goals, you want to keep things tight for the first sort of 15 minutes and feel yourself into the game. And we give a goal away on 4 minutes, another individual error, another sign of our inability to clear the ball. And after that, really, I felt that you could almost have gone home. The game was done. We didn't look much of a threat. One half-decent opportunity for Strand Larsen, which I think he probably should have scored. He puts it straight down the middle. Couple of half chances here and there, but the reality is we've had one shot on target in 90 minutes. Our own stupidity has cost us a goal, and it's also cost us a player because we've had a red card. It was just. I'm not going to slaughter the team collectively. There's individual errors that I know we'll go through, but the quality's just not there. We've lost so much by the way of talent and ability and match winners and leaders, and what we've got now is just a pale imitation of where we were sort of this time last season, and we were pretty horrific then. So it's not looking good. There's a week left in the window. We need 4 ready-made Premier League players if we want to give ourselves any kind of a chance of staying up. But in terms of the game itself, I thought we'd probably lose 2 or 3-0. The fact that we've only lost 1-0 is maybe a little bit of a win, but all in all, it's a bad time, and I think we've gone from circling the drain to having a head down the plug hole, to be honest.
Bringing into the famous Chris Tyler onto the show, also appearing on BBC WM and Sky Sports News. If you keep an eye out for him, he's in incognito tonight, so you don't recognise him out and about. But Tyler, I think it's safe to say that we probably predicted that we thought we'd probably lose both games, but the frustration and worry is in the fashion that we had with so little goal threat.
Well, yeah, but it's not surprising, is it? No one can be surprised with how the games have panned out and what we've seen so far. It's early days, and the new signings could well, develop and be everything we want them to be. But you can only talk about what you can see in the moment, and at the moment, they're not adequate replacements for what we've lost, are they? I'm sure we'll come on to sort of the players itself later, but staggered if there's no issue with Andre that he's not started the game. Bellegarde was very slow, wasn't he, in his start to the game, gave the ball away for the goal, gave it away shortly after, which nearly cost us again. Didn't look comfortable in that central midfield position. Nocky summed it up well. It's just all a little bit of a mess, isn't it? But it's probably what the majority of sort of realistic Wolves fans were probably expecting. I'd like to think we go to Bournemouth confident of winning the game. I know you guys have sort of said, we maybe didn't expect any points from the first 2, but historically it's a place that we always do well. It's a place we normally win or draw. We don't tend to lose there in the league. So like I said, you can only go on what you've got. It's 2 games. It's 5 goals conceded. It's no points. It's no goals scored. And like you said at the start of the show, Ryan, all of a sudden, Saturday, and I'm not bothered about Tuesday myself, but Saturday becomes enormous, and you're 3 games into the season.
This is episode 135 of the Wolves Report, always bringing the show to you live. Thank you for the live comments so far. It's a big reason why we do the show live, to get your comments and involvement up there. Some good abuse, some good tactical advice, and some great questions. So yeah, it's thoroughly appreciated. Give us a follow or like through. It is very much appreciated. As Tyler said, Nocky, Saturday is massive. Tuesday almost feels like let's just get it over and done with. But yeah, it's all eyes on Saturday. But back to the game at Bournemouth. Sitting, guys, keep it steady. Don't do anything stupid. Bang, blink, 1-0 Bournemouth. Talk us through the early goal.
I just want to touch on something before that, actually. You said that we didn't go there expecting to get anything. Why wouldn't we go to Bournemouth expecting to get a result?
I did.
But
I mean, bearing in mind, we've got a good record there. So why are we... Man City,
we have.
But why?
We have, Nocky. But the point is, our expectations have been eroded so much by the incompetence running our football club from the very top now. Our expectations are rock bottom. Like, I'm now excited at the thought of 17th, and that makes me miserable. All right, that's now, I'm looking at it. If we get 17th, we've absolutely had a great season. And I shouldn't be thinking like that. But the expectations are so low. Each year, you take away your starlets every single year. We've lost all our flair players now. The lads out there are still trying, but there's no magic in the team at the moment. And that's why I don't think we're going to win at Bournemouth. So as much as I have a joke, 1-0 Wolves, this and that, I always believe, but I did truly believe after watching Bournemouth at Liverpool, yes, they lost 4-2, but they should have been 2-0 up in that game, and they played really well. And looking what Man City to us, losing on Saturday to me was no surprise. It's disappointing, but unfortunately, where my expectations are now, it's no surprise.
But that is a ginormous red flag, though, isn't it? I mean, if we're going to a team where we usually win and expecting to get beat, who do we think we actually can beat? Because for me, I don't think Bournemouth will finish top half. I think they'll probably finish between 10th and probably 14th in the league. So if we're not going there thinking we can get a result, surely we're all resigned to relegation already, because that's the level of team we have to be beating if we want to stay up. So I just think that's a bit of a red flag. But in terms of the goal, which was the original question you asked me, it was dreadful. I mean, at first I thought Agbadou probably shouldn't have played it out, but then seeing it back, I don't think it was that much of a dangerous ball, but I think Bellegarde should have dealt with it better than he did. For some reason, he tried to turn into space. And as soon as we've turned over possession there, they've got a man over on the left and we're in the mud, aren't we? The shot, it's probably a bit of a marker of where we are in terms of our season and our luck, because I think the initial shot, Sar's probably going to save that, but he whips off the back of Agbadou's leg and pings in off the bar, doesn't it? Nothing you can do about that. But it's another self-inflicted wound. It's another goal that was avoidable. I would say there's probably one, maybe two goals against City that we couldn't do anything about. Every other goal we've conceded so far has been an individual error or a collective mistake. Yeah, so it's bad. But I mean, I said a few weeks ago that we stink of a team that's going to concede loads of goals, and we stink of a team that's absolutely riddled with errors. And it's, you know, I'm no genius, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where the problems were going to be this season, and we've not addressed them at all. So it was an awful goal. 4 minutes as well. You're just not giving yourself a chance.
Massive.
You just need to.
You've got to bed in ribs early doors, then, isn't it? It's a real.
It's massive. It's massive. You've got to settle yourself into the game, because I don't think they were particularly good, in all honesty. I didn't look at them and think that's a proper football team. No. They didn't rip us apart. They didn't move the ball down the flanks the way I thought they would, and they didn't exploit us the way I thought they would. I thought they were bang average, and a team that last season's Vitor Pereira probably beats. But we just didn't have a clue how to break them down. We couldn't move the ball into the box. We couldn't affect them in wide areas. How many times did we get the ball, bimble our way up to the edge of their area, and then bimble our way back because we didn't know what to do with it? And then when we did get ourselves into a wide position, I think 3 or 4 times we shanked the ball straight out of play. So it's basic errors. And we've touched on the issues with Fosun, and Tyler's been quite vocal about the mistakes from a management perspective. And I think he's absolutely bang on. And for me, that first goal summed it up, because we're either asking players to do something that they're not capable of doing, or we've gone rogue defensively and we're just having a bit of a bash at it now. But it's a shambles.
For anyone wanting a bit cheering up, alleged new centre-back who's playing for Girona tonight, he's losing 5-0 at home to Villarreal. Ladislau Krejci, I think his name is a correct pronunciation. He may come good for Wolves, but he wanted some extra time to think. after being smashed 5-0, he might still want to come, but we shall see anyway.
I think we should have some thinking time after that performance.
Thank you for that, Tony, regular follower of the show. Tyler, do you echo Noki's thoughts on the goal? Again, is it very much self-inflicted and avoidable?
Yeah, and the worrying part for me is that Matt Doherty's interview after the game, apparently the plan was to not play through the middle. Well, if after 4 minutes you're playing through the middle, then either something's getting lost in translation, or the players aren't listening, or they're not buying into what Vital's saying. I don't know. I might be reading too much into it, but I'm with Nokia. You sort of look at it in real time and think, the other 99 times out of 100 in that game, Agbadou's just launched it from there. The one time we try and play out, Nokia said it's our own fault, isn't it? But Bellegarde's got to be better than that. If you're a Premier League central midfielder, in this day and age, it's bread and butter to receive the ball back to goal, pass it first time, half turn, move away. Can't get caught like that. Noki's right, the deflection's unlucky, but it sort of sums up where we are at the moment, doesn't it? And I know you, Ryan, you always talk, and I agree, about good luck, bad luck, but I'm a bit old school. I think you create your own luck, and you don't need to put yourself in that position in the first place. So maybe then Agbadou purposely went long and hoofed it because he didn't want to repeat the same mistake again. Who knows? But I tweeted after the game, as you know, and obviously by hook or by crook, it's made its way to Sky Sports, and that was not the intention. But I just don't see what the plan is, what the style is, what we're trying to do, how we're trying to play. And we laugh and joke about it, but I genuinely don't know what he's been working on in pre-season. So I don't see anything from that team that, you could see what Bournemouth were trying to do. They play to their strengths, they move it quickly, they pop it off. The amount of times we just kick the ball out of play for a throw-in, absolutely embarrassing at this level. So the players need to have a look at themselves as well, because at this level, you're playing in this league because you're good enough to. So they need to have a bit of a look at themselves as well. But for me, yeah, it was just all a bit of a mess, really.
Why has Bellegarde done that, though? I mean, why has he tried to turn? Because how many times have we played that ball from Agbadou into one of the centre halves? It's an instant flick out to your wing.
Pass straight to one of the wing backs, yeah.
So why is he trying to
You don't take a touch there. You don't take a touch.
It doesn't happen. I'm sorry, I don't care what you say. It doesn't happen if Andre and Gomez.
No, it doesn't. No,
that doesn't happen. And Vita, for whatever reason, has decided to leave Andre out. There's rumours of a bit of a bust-up. There's other people saying there isn't one. At the end of the day, we're in the game in the industry to get points, and that sort of stuff has to be put to bed. I mean, you can't not play Andre in the current state that we're in. You can't leave him out of the team.
Yeah, it's a tough one, Noki. We talked about this. I mean, I saw a few people tweet possible illness in the squad. I don't know. That's been unconfirmed. I'm not sure Wolves, they wouldn't let you know that before anymore. Whether I don't know if people were sick or not. But if that's the case, that might be an explanation. But me and Tyler had a really good debate about this. I thought it was interesting, and I'd love to get your feedback on the comments as well, guys. If a player isn't performing that week in training and he's off it and he's a bit stroppy, does he still play regardless? Or do you have to set an example, Noki?
It's really difficult, isn't it? I mean, you're punishing everyone by not playing him. So for me, you play him and you deal with it behind closed doors, and because you're not going to do any good hanging him out to dry, are you? Saying he's not. You're almost making him a scapegoat, aren't you? He's not training hard enough. He's not working hard enough.
He's one of our best players, to be fair, as well, which obviously Tyler's point.
Yeah, I mean, Gomez doesn't. He's not half the player without Andre next to him. So Bellegarde has had probably 3, maybe 4 good performances since he's been at the club, and they were all when he was playing in central midfield. But he's nowhere near. He just doesn't do it often enough. He's not consistent in the way he plays. So if you're going to a game where there is a chance you can get a result, even if you don't fancy it, there is a chance you can get something out of the game, and you're dropping one of your most important players, and probably the player who turns the ball over and breaks down the attacks more than anybody else. What are you trying to achieve by doing that? Just deal with it behind closed doors, put him in the team and solutionise it afterwards, because he's a player that we absolutely need. The squad is paper thin. We are really lacking quality. But if you were to write a list of probably our 3 best players and our most saleable assets, Andre's definitely one of them. So the position we're in, he has to play and then deal with it behind closed doors. So I get your point. What you don't want is a load of almost breaking up inside the dressing room and people going their own way and doing their own thing. But I think when it's a player of his quality, you've got to find a way to deal with it and keep him on the pitch.
Before we talk about the tactics and the changes near the late of the game after the red card, we need to talk about the red card. Tyler, I mean, forget it's Totti. we all know your opinions on him. But for a professional footballer to give any kind of hand contact there, to look how, regardless of how soft it was, it's just unacceptable. Let him go. I think Sarr probably gets to that anyway, to be honest. I think it's absolutely ridiculous he's doing it. So to do that as captain, I think that pretty much puts an end to the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did for me. And I think it is soft. You know, we're all brought up with a generation of watching football where that probably wasn't even a foul, was it? You know,
but don't give him the opportunity by touching him, because you know what he's going to do.
He had a silly booking after 5 minutes, didn't he, where he's pulled the player's shorts back. He's on a yellow card. He never settled into the game. Like I said, I'm not here to, you know, my thoughts on him. You know my thoughts on him being captain of this famous club. I think that's an absolute disgrace in itself. But it is what it is. He's made a rash decision in the heat at the moment. We're not in those battles, are we, where striker's in, he's put his hand there. It's probably a natural reaction. It's a natural thing to do. He's pushed him over. It's like the Konza one, isn't it, against Gordon? There's no complaints. If you're the last man and someone's running through on goal, you have to leave. The only problem is he's only banned for 1 game and not 3. But, you know, it is what it is.
Nocky, listen, Totti really splits opinion. When you're playing against some superior opposition, which we've done in both games so far, he's had some great games.
But his last great game. You talk about Andre not being able to get in the side, but if you're Andre and Gomez and you're seeing Manetzi constantly playing the games, Totti, you can see why they're getting sort of disillusioned, can't you, surely?
Yeah.
Manetzi's stats yesterday were an absolute disgrace at this level. We'll come on to it later, I'm sure we will, but you know my thoughts.
Yeah, I think Andre put him in trouble with the poor ball. They'll give the ball away, and it's one simple through ball, and that Evan Nilsson's caused us so many problems. He won 3 penalties last season. It is soft, but I'm screaming for that if it's the other way around. I think it's definitely
don't give the opportunity by putting your hands up. No,
it's a foul. It's a red card. It's one of those spur of the moment things, isn't it? You're better off letting him go through and probably making it 2-0, or do you bring him down and then you almost write yourself out the game? It's a really difficult one. I'm not blaming him too much for that, because I think the position we were in at the time, we had the ball, we were in kind of a midfield area, so he's probably not where he needs to be. It's Andre who's put him in the brown stuff. But I think his overall performance for me, he's so clumsy. He's so clumsy on the ball. And like Chris said, he gives away a booking early on, and you know that they're going to hit us in them wide positions, and they're going to affect you, and they're going to come at him after that. I don't think he ever settled. He's not the same player without Ryan Aitnouri next to him. They had such a good relationship, and he got him out of trouble on numerous occasions. I don't think he should be captain, and that's nothing personal against him for me. He should be João Gomez. I think he's more of a suitable person for that. But we don't know what goes on at training. We don't know who the leaders are because we don't see it on the pitch. So it may be a case of he's the leader of that group and he feels it's the right decision. If that's what Vitor wants, there's not a lot we can do about it. But for me, he's one of the players that we should be looking to upgrade, not make captain. And you're going to keep getting these mistakes. And it goes back to what we've all said, is we are far too incident-ridden defensively, and we're not doing anything to address it. So I don't personally dislike him. I think he's had some great moments. He looks like a real good, honest lad who run through brick walls for you, but the quality for me just isn't there at this level.
Yeah, it's a concern. It's a great point here from Georgie Reynolds. When managers start calling out players in the press, things generally end badly. That's a good point, Tyler. I mean, sometimes it works to G players up, because we know peak Andre, he's as good as we've seen there. He's fantastic at what he does. But yeah, that's a really good point from Georgie. And sometimes when that happens, it doesn't end well.
Yeah, he's spot on. And I don't really see the need to call him out. I don't remember Andre's form slipping off, or I don't remember him having a bad game, really. So seems a bit of a strange one, doesn't it? And certainly one to keep an eye on. But we just hope that he gets back to his best and hopefully starts the next game.
This is episode 135 of the Wolves Report with Chris, Tyler, Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. Let's go through the team. This isn't going to be pretty, but we've got to do it. Let's go through... Jose Sarr, Knocker.
Man of the match.
Yeah, man of the match for me. I thought he was pretty good. I don't remember him do anything wrong. Big moments for us in the game. he's our best player. I'd probably give him an 8 out of 10 based on what he was having to deal with. So yeah, I think I've got no complaints over that display.
Tyler, of course you're having this one. Toti Gomez.
Yeah, move on. Booking after 5 minutes, like Nocky said, never settled, sent off. I think one of you guys nailed it, but on one of our chats, he'll have sort of 2 or 3 good games, and then he'll just throw that stinker in.
Yeah,
and this was his stinker, wasn't it? And at this level, you've got to be more consistent than that. But I'm with you, guys. I'm not necessarily blaming him for the red card. I just think it's an instinctive reaction. It's what we probably all do in that situation. But yeah, not a good game.
Well,
maybe
one thing on that, Tyler. Well, yeah, probably one thing on that, Tyler. I think strange. And as much as he's clumsy and he looks cumbersome at times, he's not a player that gets loads of bookings and loads of red cards. So he's had an absolute double stinker because he didn't need to do that pullback. And then to have that unnecessary push, it seems, I know it sounds crazy saying it, but it seems out of character for him. Now, whether that armband's weighing heavy on him, I don't know. But for someone that is clumsy, he doesn't particularly get a lot of yellow and red cards. I know he had a red card that was rescinded in the game at Brentford. I don't recall anything red else. I think we can put it on the list.
He's a bit of a gentle giant, isn't he? Really, he tends to not get
strong and fast, but not dirty at all. Nocky's
nailed it. Nocky's nailed it. To reinforce the point, not having Aït-Nouri there, who got him out of trouble so many times by just being a little simple 5-yard pass to him. We'll notice that this season that he's not there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aït-Nouri would be missed by any centre-back in the world. And if he goes on to win the Premier League, good luck to him. Just a shame about the price because we're about 10 million short. But hey, can't think what happened there. Aït-Nouri, he's an 8-ball, isn't he? You could ping the ball into him in his own goal line. He'd have to drop a lollipop or a nutmeg. I think we were spoilt with Aït-Nouri because that guy's footwork is as good as I've seen. We get to see that from Moller Wolf. I hope he comes good. He's not going to be Aït-Nouri, but that side of the pitch looks a little bit vulnerable. Nocky onto Agbadou, I actually thought was okay, to be honest. In comparison to pre-season, it was an improvement.
I'm not too sure it was, to be honest. I thought he was clumsy as well. 2 or 3 times he put the ball straight out of play. My suggestion was to swap him out for Yerson Mosquera, and I kind of feel like that's something we could have done to give us a little bit more stability there. But we know he's a good player. We know that he is quality, but he's having a real difficult time of it at the moment. I think it's a massive confidence issue. He hasn't got that swagger that he had last season. I think his confidence is shot. He just looks a shell of the player that he was sort of at the back end when we were having them 6 in a row, and he was just bullying attackers. Now I don't remember him putting a tackle in. I don't remember him physically dominating anyone the way that he was. He looks lost to me.
I didn't think he was. His form was a drop off. I know it's not a high level, but I thought he was a better version of him. A couple of times he did take the space in front of him. He was cutting inside the forwards a little bit. I saw that as a step forward to the guy that he knows he's in. He's going to have to be next week anyway because Everton have got so much pace through the middle now. But he's going to need to be on it.
But is that a reflection on him or a reflection on the way that Bournemouth play? Because Bournemouth are quite happy to let you have the ball and bring it onto him, and then they'll try and break in behind you. Yes, he moved forward with it, but he was comfortable 5 or 6 yards forward and then just get rid of the ball. And I don't want to dig him out because I don't think he was terrible, but he's just not the player he was last season. Is probably the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, and that's fair. But we know there's a very good footballer there, and hopefully he's back soon because we need him. Tyler, Matt Doherty. Okay, not great, not bad.
Didn't really notice him, did you, in the game?
Which is good for a defender.
It's out of 10, isn't it? He's, like Nocky said, the same about Toti. In a real world, he's a player that you're looking to upgrade in that position. And the fact, as we've talked about before, that he's still there, he's starting games in a back 3 for us, just tells you the state of our squad at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair. But what I would say, just to counter that, is he's in the place by merit and maybe some poor recruitment as well.
We've had 5 goals in 2 games and haven't scored a goal. And for me now, every position is up for grabs. It's a new.
Don't be there, any knocker. What am I supposed to do? With that?
He's bang on though, isn't he? I mean, we all love Matt Doherty. He's been an incredible servant for the club. But the fact that a player who was in League One with us, what was it, 12, 13 years ago, whatever it was, the fact he's still starting football matches for us in what is an absolute key position, for me, is a joke. It's a reflection on where the club has gone. And I do like the kid, I do like him, but he's never should be at this level now. And is he there on merit? Maybe, but is that because we've just got nothing else to put in that position at the moment? I mean, if you offer me an 80% fit Yerson Mosquera, I'm putting him straight in for Doherty because I think it makes us better instantly. So again, I don't want to dig him out, but at the same time, he should not be in this team.
Shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, I know they're really taking their time with Yerson, and maybe you'll get a start on Tuesday night because that's the kind of player in a back three. For me now, in modern football, with a back three, you need all of them to be quick and strong so you can play up. Because if your wing backs become full backs, you're never going to get forward. You need to be confident left and right with fast, strong guys to allow you guys left and right to get involved. And I don't think they did that again on Saturday. But yeah, moving on to Hoover. Looks for me, I mean, I called it out when I saw it. It's a sneaky little push and he's jarred his knee. It's a foul for me. Now, granted, people would say it's soft, but if you push someone when they're in the air and they jar their knee, that's naughty, that is. And that is a free kick. And I feel sorry for Hoover because if he's tweaked a ligament in there, he could be out for a while. I'm not saying it was terrible, but he suffered an injury there because someone's been a bit sneaky.
I'm with you, yeah. Knock is on mute, so I'm with you. I thought it was a bit of a naughty foul, really. It's one of those that the professionals know what they're doing. You could see his foot was planted, it's jarred his knee. The positive to that was that I thought Jackson came on and I was quite encouraged by his debut. He looks a bit raw, doesn't he? Which is probably what we all expect, but certainly an outlet on that right-hand side and pace to burn. So hopefully he'll get a start on Tuesday. We'll get to see a bit more of him, but harsh on Hoover, who have your opinions on him. He's worked hard over pre-season. His attitude's obviously a lot better than it was. And it's a shame that after a game and a bit, he's injured. But that brings up the opportunity for Jackson to step in, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought Jackson was okay when he came on. He was certainly the outlet, really, that Wolves had. Other than that was sort of one burst from Moller Wolf. But then with Jackson, I thought he was a player that was, you could see he's got bags of pace, and you can see with someone like a Fer Lopez in the side, he's going to find that run, isn't he, when he cuts inside and overlaps. So he's a weapon, and hopefully we can use him going forward. Nocky, over the other side of the pitch, we had David Moller-Wolf. It's been a slow start to life for Wolves. I've not really seen a lot yet. There's that one burst through. I thought he was a bit naive. He should have cut inside and made the man trip him, or at least earned the ball properly, but he kind of sort of ran it down to the byline. Otherwise, I haven't seen a lot yet for the money we've paid.
Yeah, I mean, he makes that run, though, but no one goes with him. I mean, he hasn't got anyone within 15 yards of him when he bursts into that area of the pitch.
Right.
You're not giving yourself a chance, are you, if you're not giving him anything to hit? I think similar to Hoover, I mean, I've been critical of Hoover, but he put in a fantastic ball that Larson should have scored from. I think Wolf had a good run down that side where he's lacking support. He doesn't look like a wing-back to me. He looks like a full-back. He doesn't look like the kind of player who should be in that position. When Hugo Bueno came on, I felt he offered a lot more down that side. I'm not going to write Wolf off because he's 2 games in, isn't he? And they've both been difficult games for him. And it takes a while to settle into this, which is why you want these players in by pre-season. But that's a different conversation. I think there's signs there that he's got something about him. But he definitely looks more like a full-back than a wing-back to me. So for me, I think Hugo's looked more lively, more dangerous, and offered us a little bit more in that position when he's come on. So he's got to be close to knocking on the door now. But he wasn't awful. But is he an upgrade on what we've had? Certainly not an upgrade on Nate Nouri, which would be unreasonable to request. But I think, for me, Hugo seems a better option at the minute.
Yeah, I think with your wing backs, it is so key for them getting involved going forward. I know they've got defensive responsibilities, but when you're going forward, it's so key because they are your width. And if they don't get involved higher up the pitch, the ball will keep coming back. That's how you spread the play and stretch it. And we've not been getting that enough. I'm not saying it's lack of effort, but I just don't think those guys have been high enough the pitch. Tyler, moving on to Jean-Ric Bellegarde and João Gomez. You can do them both, please.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy either of them, to be honest. I think Nocky said at the start, Gomez is a better player when Andre is alongside him. He looked off sorts. Bellegarde, I thought, had a poor game. Touch was poor. Obviously, we talked about the goal. Nearly did it again. didn't offer anywhere near enough for me, either of them. So the sooner we get Andre Gomez back as the anchor, the better for me.
Moving on to the front three, Nocky, John Arias and Marshall to start with.
Marshall will be a nice quick one. He was absolutely dreadful. Just offered absolutely nothing. I don't remember him touching the ball. Did nothing of any note. It was like playing with 10 men before we got Totti sent off. Arias, he's definitely got something about him, but he's going to need to settle into it. His movement was good. He had a decent strike. There's an argument maybe he should have hit the target or even scored, but it was a good run to get him into that position. He looks like a ready-made Premier League player, but he's going to take 5 or 6 games to really bed in before I think you start seeing anything too positive from him. But he was okay. There's a bit of hope there with him. But Marshall Manetzi, as good as he was last week, and we waxed lyrical about him in terms of his performance, he was probably our best player. He was the polar opposite this time around because he just didn't offer anything. It was a really poor display from him.
Tyler, what does it say about Wolves' recruitment 8 years into the Premier League and a couple of weeks left, well, a week and a half left of the transfer window, when you're starting Marshall Manetzi as your right winger or right inverted 10?
It means you failed. We all talked about it before the season. If that's, I mean, look, jokes aside, look at that right-hand side on your screen. Sorry to those that listen.
Matt Doherty, right centre back, Johnny Hoover, right wing back, and then Marshall, the inverted 10. That right hand side does not.
The other side, let's be honest, the other side ain't much better. But to have Doherty, Hoover, and Manetzi as your right hand side 8 years into your Premier League journey is unacceptable. And Knock is right on Manetzi. I think he had a 50% pass rate from 20 passes. He nothing on XG, nothing on XA either, which I don't necessarily buy into. But he's just not a number 10, is he? You don't have to be. If Wolves went sort of 3-5-2 and he was in central midfield and Arias and Larson were closer to each other and the full backs or the wing backs were a lot higher, I could sort of get that way of thinking. And it almost started a bit like that, start of the second half. And then I think the sending off screwed it up for us. But for me, he's just not a player that should be playing that position. And, I think Beds tweeted earlier, we've spent £20 million on Fair Lopez to play there. We've played every minute of pre-season and we've not seen him since. And it's just like, what is the plan? What is the strategy? What are we trying to do? But
yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know, like I said, how it's true in terms of the bug or the illness around camp, but there's no way Fer Lopez isn't involved when we're chasing the game and doesn't come on at all. There must be something up there. It doesn't make any sense.
He was quite visibly upset to not come on, apparently, from people that were there. So, again, read into it what you like, but...
Yeah, strange one. Last but not least, Nocky Strand Larson. Again, for me, so far this season, there's a man that's really desperate for a decent ball to come into the box. He had one. He's probably gone a bit safe with it. He's planted it straight down the middle, but that's a centre forward that needs service. Otherwise, we're going to struggle. But granted, he had the one flick on when he sort of put Manetzi sort of chasing the ball like he did in the last game of the season last year. But for me, there's not enough service and playing to his strengths.
No, but he probably should be on 2 goals for the season. He had a pretty much a sitter against Manchester City and he missed it. And he had a real good opportunity with a header. And yes, the connection's decent, but he's, like Chris said, he's played it safe, hasn't he? He should have been hitting the corners there or sending it back away. It came. He's just took the easy option to hit the target. So he's not getting a lot of service, but he still should have scored a couple of goals. I think he's struggling, isn't he? I mean, last season when we went on that 6 in a row and we didn't have Cunha for a big chunk of it, he seemed to excel. But I do think he's missing that link up with Cunha because towards the back end of the season, those two were linking up really well. You think about the Leicester game with the movement there, the passing, the rhythm of it. Spurs game, he's really good in that as well. I just think that he's got nothing around him, but look what he's got around him. I mean, he's got Bellegarde behind him. He's got João Gomez, who's not going to really join the attack unless he has to. He's got Marshall Manetzi, and then he's got John Arias, who was hooked. So you're not giving him a great deal to feed off. He needs the service. He needs players in and around him. For me, I would be looking at moving to a 3 midfield because I think we're losing every midfield battle at the minute. I'll put maybe you could have dropped Marshall into midfield, play Arias just behind Strand Larsen in a 10, and just get someone closer to him. And then if you get pacey wing backs on the pitch, you give yourself a chance of getting some movement up front, because we're just not creating anything.
You can have Marshall supporting like he did in his debut when he's bursting from midfield.
Yeah, you've got Marshall or you've got Bellegarde. Because I dug out Marshall earlier, but I think Chris touched on a really good point. He's not a right-sided attacker, is he? So he's probably not comfortable there himself. You want him in the middle of those two. So you want him in the middle of Andre and Gomez with almost a little bit of a free roll to just go wherever he wants across that attacking line. Because he'll run all day for you, he'll get into good positions, and that's where he probably wants to be. When you're limiting him to a right side, you're kind of cutting his legs off a little bit. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board, because we're not helping Larson, we're not helping Menezes, and Arias is going to struggle to settle the way that we're playing at the moment because we just don't get the ball up the pitch enough. So to answer your original question, I thought Larson was okay, flitted in and out of the game, but should have had another goal.
This is episode 135 of the Wolves Report with Chris, Tyler, Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. I've just been through the team review. Before we move on to the next section, this is something that's been talked about in the group chat. This is a really good point that's created some debate. WWFC, Jonah says, do you agree with the subs after? I think Jonah's talking about after the red card. This has definitely sort of created some debate across the group chat, and I think there may be some criticism coming Vitor's way. That doesn't mean we don't still think Vitor is great, but you've got to call out the things that you see. My opinion was, which is quite negative for me, is stay in the game, keep it, and try and do an onslaught late on. That's why I think he went like for like with the substitutions. In hindsight, obviously, that probably wasn't attacking enough, but that's my theory behind that. Do I agree with that? Probably not, but it's a long time to go with like a back four, isn't it? With those centre backs, so I don't know, Tyler.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree with you. To be honest, that you never want to see your striker or one of your forwards going off for a centre half, do you? You don't want to see that. I wouldn't have minded as much if then for the last 10 we had a bit of a go, and you might as well lose 2-0 and have the chance of drawing 1-1. So Hwang came on again, was totally ineffective. Is there a way you can keep Strand Larsen on and somehow sneak Fair Lopez and maybe Rodrigo on as an extra?
I think for the last 10, you've got to go for it regardless. I think we might have run out of subs. I think we had one left. I don't know.
And I thought Santa did okay when he came on, and I thought he was actually trying to get us at the pitch, and he was quite energetic. And I thought he had quite a good game, but I didn't mind it at the time if then you have a bit of a go last 10. And I don't think we did that. I think we sort of hoped for a set piece or hoped for a bit of luck, if anything. But I can't be too critical, but it's just a natural reaction, isn't it? You take your striker off, your centre half comes on, and you think, but I mean, let's talk about Hwang. If we're being brutally honest, absolute waste of time him coming on for Strand Larsen. He was useless again, wasn't he? This is a player that we're actively trying to get out the window and get out the door, and he's coming on as a surge. It just makes no sense, and it comes back to my tweet. What are we trying to do? What's the plan? Because if Hwang's the answer, I don't know what the question is, really.
Absolutely. WWFC, Jonah, thank you for being part of the latest show. The second part of the show, Jeff, a penny for Jeff's thoughts. Now,
we can go home knocking now. We'll let Ryan talk for 20 minutes.
Transfer window ends, I believe, a week today, 1st of September. As it stands, for me, this set of players in these circumstances probably get relegated. Now, it's killing me to say that, and it's really painful, but I'm not seeing enough. I've watched, as to the annoyance of my wife, I watch an unhealthy amount of football. But what I see from every other team is players with pace out wide, players with ability to take people on. There's pace all over the team. Wolves, for me, have a nice spine. Strand Larsen, the two centre midfielders, Agbadou, I think there's a good spine, and Jose Sarr doing okay. That spine's good. But what's left and right of that for me is non-existent. And to have let it got this far is just completely unacceptable. At the top of the pitch, you're looking for that spark and that drive. Wolves need to sign somebody in that area. And for me, I mean, people are saying, oh, you could be looking at the new director of football. But this is a historical squad neglect issue from selling the crown jewels to get to here. There isn't any game changers. Like as Tyler said, we're trying to get rid of Hwang. And for me, yeah, if you want to go on a podcast at the end of last season or at the start of this season and talk about your promotion and when the football side of things was bad, you had to come back and save it. If you're going to want to take the praise for saving Wolves and for the promotion and the Europe and the FA Cup, you need to take the criticism as well. So Jeff needs to stand up now and make sure these deals get done. The amount of players now that are finding Wolves unattractive. How many players now have we lost out on because they don't fancy Wolves? Well, if you start saying messages in the local newspaper about maybe Wolves aren't the club for you, what kind of message is that? I don't care if it's lost in translation. I think that's utter guff, to be honest. I just don't think at the moment he's doing a good enough job for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Knocky.
I think you've articulated it really well. There doesn't seem to be a plan, does there? When you look at Brentford have been absolutely hammered this season, but they've gone out and they've spent 40 million on Django Ouattara and he scored because they bought a player who's Premier League ready. Whereas we had a conversation, didn't we, at the end of last season that we knew we were going to lose Cunha, we knew we were going to lose Ait-Nouri, and we expected to lose Semedo as well. And we needed to bring in oven-ready Premier League footballers who can come in and do a job for you. If that means you've got to go in and take them from other Premier League clubs, go and do that. What we didn't want to do was have another Rodrigo Gomez situation where we're bringing in someone who's going to be good in 5 years. We've done that with Fer Lopez, clearly. We've brought in John Arias, who's ready, but we left that a little bit late. Wolf, we're not sure about. We haven't increased the quality level, but what's worse than that is we haven't even matched last season's quality level when we were pretty crap. So we've done so much damage to ourselves. And Jeff, he's the common denominator on this. It all comes back to Jeff. He's the one who's making these high-level decisions. And yes, he's governed by Fosun, I understand that. But when you saw that group chat that he had and that podcast that he had, it was very much, I'm more interested in esports than I am in Wolves, was the impression I got. He doesn't feel like he's all in at this football club. It feels like he's here because he has to be. He didn't really want to move here, but he did because he was under a little bit of pressure. I just don't think he knows anything about football. I don't think he understands the game. He certainly doesn't understand the supporters. And he's just completely hidden from us now. When we were doing well, he was in the pubs, he was meeting the locals, he was out and about. You don't see anything of him now because he's hiding from us. And he's just, for me, he's a massive, massive reason that we are where we are at the moment. And his silence is absolutely deafening.
Yeah, Tyler, I mean, there's two pretty good scripts we've had there in the top of our heads come out. It's your turn to better us now, mate.
I've had a bottle of rosé and I can't top that, to be honest. So I'll leave it to you two. I think there's nothing to add. Ryan, you were brilliant. Knocky's, followed it very well. But unfortunately, I suppose, to try and add something different to the conversation, it's where we are at the moment. It's the situation we find ourselves in. I think she, to a point, has backed Pereira by allowing him to bring in extra coaches and a director of football. We're probably all waiting for the director of football to maybe sort of come good and do something. His remit might have been more to focus on exits rather than, entrances, for want of a better phrase. We seem to be very quick and able to move players out of the door. We're obviously all a little bit concerned about the lack of those coming in. This centre-half potentially would break the mould. We haven't spent £30 million on a single player for a fair while now, or one that I can remember. So you can talk about that till you're blue in the face, and Knocky said it for the last 2 or 3 years. If you keep doing the same things, eventually it's going to catch you out. And if you keep selling your best players, there was a good bit of banter on Twitter last week about, asset stripping, and that might be taking it a bit far. But if you keep selling your best players and replacing them with average ones, we all know where we're going to end up from that. You don't need to be an expert, do you?
Absolutely. If you continue to downgrade on the players you sell, eventually you're going to become a bottom 3 team. And at this moment in time, it kills me to say it because I genuinely believe I'm realistic and sometimes positive with Wolves. We look like a bottom 3 team at the moment. As it stands, Wolves would probably get relegated. We need some more help. We badly need it. Now, people talk about Wolves are less than 1% of the portfolio for Fosun still, but we're probably hopefully one of the most vocal ones. And this is a part of the Fosun conglomerate, and they should be doing better. The fact that anyone's watching on and letting Jeff Shee do this, I don't know how he's still there. Now, people say you go on about Jeff a lot. I do. I've got high standards. And as I mentioned before, if you want to sit there and take the glory we did this, we nearly bought West Brom, that we got promotion, we done this. Well, it's time to stand up now and save your investment because we're in dire trouble. The tweet earlier on put out by Nick Goff, I want to share it because I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I've seen a couple of people sort of talking about Vitor's tactics and in terms of that game and the 10 men, but I want to read this tweet out because I think it's absolutely brilliant from Nick Goff. Blaming the manager is just what Fosun will want you to do. Wolves are bad at the moment due to a severe lack of good footballers. A selection decision here and there is minuscule compared to the root cause. If the squad quality doesn't change next week, Jurgen Klopp couldn't fix it. Now, I think that's absolutely fantastic because I'm sure we've seen the rinse and repeat. Manager goes, gets sacked, spend in January. There doesn't seem to be a plan. But there's a common denominator here, boys, and I keep talking about it. We keep repeating the same things over again and we're not learning. Nocky, your take on that tweet?
Yeah, I mean, he's articulated it perfectly, hasn't he? It's difficult, and I think what Fosun and Jeff have probably done really well is almost taken the sting out of Molineux as well, because the expectations have been managed so low now that we're almost expecting to lose every week. I mean, Molineux used to be a bear pit, didn't it? He was horrible when things were going wrong. Now I think it's very wet. I think it's very, we'll just accept it and we'll sit there and we'll be as quiet as we can and we'll try not to make too much noise. That's just how it feels at the moment. So I think that the whole atmosphere around the ground has changed. We feel very resigned to me. That's how it felt. That's how it feels. It feels like we're very resigned to what's probably going to come this season. But he's articulated it absolutely perfectly. And we're talking about bringing in maybe 3 or 4 players. I have absolutely zero confidence that those players will be what we need to get us out of the brown stuff. I feel like they'll be very much a rinse and repeat, and we're just going to be putting bums on seats as opposed to quality in a shirt. And that's just the lack of faith I have in this current leadership team.
Absolutely. And Tyler, just following on from this tweet, I've seen people tweeting about it's a difficult window. People haven't done this, people haven't done that. I don't buy it. An established Premier League team, you've had all summer, you knew Aït-Nouri was going, you knew Cooney was going, you knew Semedo was going. This is a massive letdown and Wolves are under huge pressure and the club have to deliver.
Yeah, and I think you argue that we knew those 3 players would go in probably January time of last year. I don't even think it would have been the summer that we'd have found this out. So how you unable to identify targets that want to be at the football club? I mean, Jackson, bless him, publicly he's probably the 4th or 5th choice right back that we've signed, even just by what you've seen on social media. So how you can't identify targets, get them lined up, get them in. And like you said, I'll be knocking next week. Now will just be a trolley dash around who we can get in, what numbers we can get into the squad. I'm sure we'll see Fabio go. I think we'll see Sasa and Juan go. And then all of a sudden you've got to sign, more than the 3 players that they mentioned.
So, you need 4 then at least.
It'll be a trolley dash for me. A couple of loan deals, a couple of signings. I'm not excited at all.
Just on that though, we have talked about going back to the Gestifute stable, which I think for Lopez, I'm not sure much else from anyone else is connected, but obviously Mendes is a big player and he has a lot of influence because there's lots of spinning plates. We need him now more than ever. This is the time that Jeff needs to lean on his old pal. Obviously, Fosun owned 20% of Gestifute. We need to protect this asset. So we are massively relying on him and we badly need him now, Nocky.
Yeah, I was just going to bring in the honesty factor from Jeff as well. I'd certainly question his honesty because every time we sign a player, all we seem to hear is about, I bought into the project, they sold the project to me. What is this project that we're hearing about? Because there's nothing there. There's no... I mean, if you come to Wolves, your project will be, if I do 2 years at Wolves and I do quite well, I'll move to a big club. That seems to be the project. So is that what they're selling them, or are they promising them all these things and suddenly we're not delivering, which could explain why there's...
Ask Lopetegui about promises.
Well, that could explain why there's a little bit of noise around certain players. And I wouldn't question someone's integrity, but I'm absolutely questioning Jeff Shee's integrity because it feels to me that he's selling a dream that just absolutely isn't there. And that's causing us an issue. And now we're at the point where we've got a footballer who's getting done 5-0 today in playing at centre half. He wasn't sure about coming to the Premier League. So we can't get signings over the line. We can't bring in the quality we want. And as Chris said, that's probably a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, maybe even seventh or eighth choice right wing back that we signed because we couldn't get anybody else. This is a Premier League football club, absolutely dripping in history. We can't get the players we want through the door. So I'm just curious what vision that we're selling to these players.
And again, as I go back to you on this part, a penny for Jeff's thoughts, that's his responsibility. He needs to make this club attractive, get the right people in the right positions to sell this club. And just don't get me wrong, if we're signing up-and-coming players who are great talents and we sign them and they go on in 2 years and that's the model, I'm okay with that. I'm not asking for Fosun to pump in millions and millions and millions of pounds. However, if you do get it wrong, as the custodians, I expect you're going to have to dip your hand in your pocket then. You just can't let us circle the drain and go down. You've got us into this position. You want to be there. I need to see full commitment from you, Jeff. I need to see you back the club now because you're not at the moment. We've taken rung by rung. We're going down the ladder. We might get one more season. We might not. But this is not working. Get in bed with Jeff. Get in bed with Mendes. Get it sorted. Fix this club. Tyler.
Yeah, I think you've articulated it well, and I think it's how the majority of fans feel, don't we? It's resignation. What's the project? We're sort of repeating ourselves a little bit about even on the pitch and off the pitch. What's the style? What's the plan? What's the project? And I don't see many Wolves fans able to answer that question at the moment.
This is episode 135 of the Wolves Report. We've got currently 1,801 live viewers. That is very much appreciated. Also, anyone catching up on Spotify or watching this not live, that is appreciated as well. Drop us a like or a follow. Your support is very much appreciated. 51 minutes into the show, let's drop a few questions before we talk about the next fixtures. Steve, hopefully you're enjoying your beer. Steve Jones says, I think I actually might need to be drunk to watch the show tonight, lads. Well, the pundits and the host have to be drunk as well to get through talking about Wolverhampton Wanderers. So, Steve, I hope you're drinking responsibly, but also enjoying your beer or wine, whatever your tipper is. I know Tyler certainly is. Jason J, with this week's stinker, what percentage will they need to take off the season tickets next year in the Championship? Jason, there's absolutely no need for that when we're miserable. But you know what? Jeff will say there's more games, so we don't need to take the price down. Jason, Thank you for being part of the show.
Exactly what he'll say.
You absolute stinker. Right then, back onto the project. Chris F says, do you believe the past statements that Fosun view Wolves as a 10-year project and see their time to the club? Really, really interesting question. Okay.
I think as long as we're making the money, I don't think they'll get rid of us. They're an investment company that wants to make money, don't they? So I think it's difficult to know, isn't it? It's difficult to know what they're trying to achieve at the moment. Understand the Chinese market's quite tricky. They may be tempted if a decent offer comes in, but you're going to struggle to get the kind of money that they want for a football club that's circling the drain the way we are. So if we were to be relegated, you're knocking 200 odd million off the price, aren't you? So I don't think they plan to sell. I think this is us now for the foreseeable future. We're just going to keep trying to do this and hope that we survive.
Unfortunately so. Chris, thank you for being part of this latest episode. Moving on to Paul. When will enough be enough regards to Fosun and their clear lack of appetite for anything football related? When will Fosun out ring around Molyneux? Now, that's up to the fans to decide, not for a podcast to decide. But what I talk about there, the interesting bit for me, Tyler, it does feel, as Nocky mentioned and articulated well earlier on the podcast he did, it did seem like football was the inconvenient thing of having to run a football club was the football club, as well as doing the esports, which he sounds like he's more interested in.
Yeah, totally agree. There's been a bit of banter on sort of X platform about the esports today and Wolves tweeting about it. And there's a certain generation of Wolves fan, probably the one sort of above us lot, that won't give a toss about any of that. And I don't think we necessarily do, but at least we sort of understand it might have a revenue stream. But there is a certain generation of Wolves fan that don't even know what esports is. They see that the brand's being used to profitalise something else and they won't be on board with it. But to answer the question, I agree with you. When will Fosun go? I don't think it will. Nocky's talked about it. Molyneux's sterilised from the Premier League for the last 7 to 8 years. It always happens. Look at all the clubs that go down with a whimper. No, Leicester won the FA Cup and the Premier League and went down with a whimper because you accept it. Southampton the same. It's the way that football is now, unfortunately, that you just resign to your fate. And I know we can probably go off on a tangent, but to answer the question, I don't think they do have an appetite for the football club anymore. That's quite clear to see. And there were obviously rumours last week about the club being for sale. Who knows? But while esports is profitable and making money on with Nokia, I don't see them at the moment parting ways.
I know it sounds a crazy thing to say. I never thought I'd say it, but if you offered me Jez Moxey back tomorrow, you put him in Jeff's job and you put Jeff off to do esports, I would take your arm off of that. Now, people might laugh at that, but
That's
you know what?
It's not a bad solution.
Honestly, I'm not even joking. If you said you could do that, yeah, I'm taking it. That man was an expert at outgoing transfer business. Granted, he messed up with the South Bank pie for a pint and all that kind of stuff, yeah. But for me, he's a far more shrewder businessman than Jeff Sheeb will ever be. But anyway, let's not talk about Jez Moxey too much. Paul, thank you for being part of the latest show. Me, myself, and Clive.
Jez Moxey back.
Things are bad enough without bringing Big Jez into it, mate. Jesus Christ. Do you remember we lost 5-1 to the Albion? Let's talk about that next.
Mate, I think we left because your dad was going to kill someone. Me, myself, and Clive say, I know Victor has set his stall out in terms of formation, but do you think we need to play 3 in midfield to bolster things?
Yes.
Also, having 3 up top, it just seems a waste. Now, we mentioned this earlier on. It's a really good point. We talked about Manetti dropping in, but at the moment, it does seem a bit of a waste having 3 up top because we're certainly not utilising 3 attackers, Tyler.
Someone put a great post out, and the time for a back 4 debate's another day. But Agbadu, Wolf, Jackson, and the potential new signing, they've all played in the back 4. They're back 4 defenders. I'm not saying he'll move from his formation.
Here we go. You know I love talking about back 4.
It's one for another day, but it's one for another day. But I thought it was quite interesting. And on with Nokia, Wolf to me looks like a left back, not a left wing back. I'd be tempted at the moment, if you're not playing Fair Lopez, I'd be tempted to go to more of a 3-5-2.
Yeah,
I'd have Jackson and I'd have Hugo as high up as possible. I'd have Mosquera in the back 3 for that extra bit of pace. I'd let Gomez and Andre do what they do. And I'd argue there's a case for getting a new number 8/10 who could link up the midfield.
Someone who can carry the ball.
Yeah, who could link up Arias, Strand Larson and be the extra man. That's how I would personally go now.
Very much like, I remember going to Goodison Park. I think we won 3-1. I think we scored, they equalised, then we got 2 more. I think Jimenez got a penalty.
Donker got 1.
Den Donker scored an absolute ripper near the away end. Yeah. That 3 in the middle that day, they protected when the wing-backs went forward, and Wolves just had width. I think it was Johnny one side. I think that was Doc the other side. Not a lot of pace, but that formation of the 3 allowed the width. And all of a sudden, then you had Jota, God bless him, Jimenez, and the 2 wingers, and it was really good. So you know what, me, myself, and Clive, there is a really good chance for that to happen. I mean, theoretically, whether the manager's stubborn, I don't know, but for me, that just makes sense. Nocky?
I agree, and I definitely think it works next week because they're probably going to go 4-2-3-1. So they're going to have one of their players, likely to be Dewsbury Hall, dropping back into that central midfield area. So they're going to have an overload. And we know what's gone on every midfield battle we've had so far. We've lost that battle. So they've got a very crafty manager who's forgotten more about tactics than I'll ever know. So he will try and exploit us in that midfield area. So I just think if you were to do that, and go with the 3, whoever it is, whether it's Benetzi, who will probably be a better version of himself if he plays there, or Jean-Ric Nabellegard, who we know can assist the attackers. He has done it before on rare occasions, but he is capable. You can then afford to put your flying wing-backs in because you've got that raw pace in those positions. If you've got Jackson one side, Hugo Bueno the other side, you're going to cause some trouble because you're solid in midfield and you've got 2 players who can bomb on all day for you. I just think it will give us a little bit more, and then putting an Arias around Strand Larson, you're going to give him a little bit to play off because maybe some of them flick-ons. There's one yesterday, he flicked it on and it just went straight through to the keeper because there was no one within sort of 10 yards of him. Play Arias around him, let him sort of float across that front line wherever he wants, but supporting Strand Larson in the attack. And I just think it will protect us a bit more, but also give us some impetus in the wide position. So I'm all for it now. I don't think the 3's working. We're losing almost a player by playing that model because it's Jimenez's lost, isn't he? He's just not impacting the game. you don't need to have 3 up there because we don't get the ball up there enough anyway. So keep the ball in midfield, control the game through midfield, hit your wing backs and flow through the middle when you need to. You're just going to create space all over the pitch. So for me, it's a no-brainer to look at that now.
Yeah, just add visions then as well. I mean, I know long term is not the answer, but I don't want to be disrespectful to someone that played a big part in keeping us up. But I can actually see, because of his incredible engine and his positional sense in terms of getting opportunities, which he did at the start, Manezzi bursting into the box in the midfield 3 when you do break, because that kid's engine is off the chart. Remember, he came on at Blackburn and played that kind of sort of attacking midfielder, and he could have had a hat-trick in about 10 minutes. So, yeah, let's see. Anyway, me, myself and Clive, thank you for being part of the latest episode. Should we do one more question for on to the teams? Yeah, why not then? Thanks, lads. Graham says, does VP walk if he doesn't get any other players in? What would be the bare minimum for him not to walk? If he does, who will be the right mind to manage this club? Loaded question there, Graham. Tyler, I don't think VP is going to walk. I do think he'll get some players. He's probably not going to get his first choice players, but after what we've seen yesterday and against Man City, surely Wolves are going to get a couple of players in.
Yeah, I think they will, but we just don't know who and the quality, do we? And managers tend not to walk these days because they prefer to get sacked and get paid off. The only niggle with this guy, and we all know about it, he probably lasts 12, 18 months everywhere he goes. So I don't think he'd have any issue walking away. He's obviously bought into the region. Obviously, the end of last season was brilliant. There's only so much you can take, isn't there, with any job that you do. If your manager at work doesn't back you and keeps dealing you a shit hand, then there's only so much you take, whether you're within the football industry or any industry. He's probably, because of it, getting away with certain things quite lightly at the moment. I think the weekend was a little bit on him. But to answer all the questions, if you had to gun to my head, does he walk? I don't think so. What's the bare minimum? 2 players for him not to walk as a bare minimum. And if he does, who would manage the club? Desperate people. Because we're not an attractive proposition for players, and I doubt we'll be an attractive proposition for any football manager.
Excellent.
I've got a question on that.
Go on.
It's for both of you. Is he still here at Christmas, and is he still here at the end of the season?
Yes and yes. Bit of positivity up the Wolves. Tyler.
No, I don't think he is. I think he might make Christmas, but I don't think he's probably... I don't think he's the manager going into next season, if that makes sense. I think it'll be somebody else.
Oh, man,
I'm
this
inclined to
absolutely
agree
stinks.
with you.
Look what you've done, Graham. We're trying to end on a high. Give Tyler a question.
I'm trying to be more positive then, yeah.
Oh, my word. Graham, thank you for being part of this latest Wolves Report episode. Tuesday night, Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Carabao Cup at home to West Ham United, if you can get a ticket for that one. But Sky Sports, as we know, are covering all those League Cup games, so Molyneux may be looking a little bit bare that evening. Nocky, surely this is a rest all and save them for Saturday, or do you try and get that first win, Nocky?
I've got to go as well because I accidentally bought the tickets.
I accidentally bought the ticket.
Well, I was a part of the scheme, when I just pinged out my account. I was, what's going on here?
£4,000. Ding.
We need to win a football match. I don't care where it comes from. If you remember the first year we got promoted under Dave Jones, we beat Newcastle in the Cup, and it just launched our season because it was a win. And I just feel like you've got to find a way to win a football match. I do want to see some changes. I want to see Jackson play. I want to see Hugo play. Arias stays in for me. Strand Larsen stays in for me. Andre Gomez in midfield. Mosquera comes in.
Really
Santi comes in. I'm going pretty strong because you've got to start winning games. I know we spoke about pre-season. We didn't win a game, and I know that's not the be-all and end-all, but you've lost that habit. I mean, the back end of the season, what was it? No winning 4. You add that to the pre-season friendlies, and then this season it's no winning 2. You know, you've gone 6 league games.
Double figures now, yeah.
Yeah, you've lost 6 league games without a win. You are in double figures if you count the pre-season, which you probably can't, to be fair. But it's still 6 games without a win. And we did this under O'Neill, and we ended up with, 1 win in 23 games or something? Because I know you don't think it carries on, right, but I'm a big believer that momentum is absolutely massive in football. And you finish the season poorly, you're likely to roll that into the next season, which is kind of what we're doing now. So for me, I go strong enough to go and win the football match. Because what you don't want to do is get pumped by West Ham 2-0, and then all of a sudden you're out the cup, you've lost 3 in a row. What kind of atmospheres are going to be for the Everton game then? So for me, I'll go pretty strong and I'll try and win the game. That'll be my thought process on it. But he may want to have a look at players like Mane. He might want to look at the squad and see as a final sort of, who am I going to get rid of? Who am I going to keep? He might want to look at a few of those players like a Sasa. But for me, you got to go and win a football match, whatever that football match is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sold on that idea. I think you can add Fer Lopez into that conversation as well. I think he starts. I'm probably going to give the second choice keeper some minutes as well, because I think it's important at this stage of the cup to keep. You don't know what's going to Jose Sá, so you want whoever is the second choice keeper to have some minutes under the belt as well.
Yeah.
Tyler,
I agree with that.
Strong on Tuesday night?
No.
Oh,
he's talking to his mates at Sky Sports, isn't it? That's why he's got a heads up.
I don't think you can flog Strand Larsen again after 2 games in a week. He needs to be fresh for Saturday.
That's fair.
This is left field, and I'm not saying I'm starting, but I'd like to see Fletcher Holman in and around the squad. I know it's youth football, but he's had a really good start and he's banging goals. I'm not saying I'd start him, but I'd just like to probably have a look at him.
Work with Nathan Fraser's son, so.
No, and I'm not expecting him to be a Premier League striker, but I'd like to have him around the squad. I'd like Mane in and around the squad. I'd like Rodrigo to play the game. I'd probably like Lima to be involved. Mosquera has to play. I think Santi Bueno comes in. I think the keeper comes in. That's still
reasonably strong.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'd throw the tie and just put kids in, but I'd just have them in and around the environment. I don't think we get any value from playing Kwang or players like that. So for me, I'd probably just rest Strand Larsen. I think he went off with a bit of a knock as well, didn't he? So I don't think you're risking him.
Fair point.
But yeah, a bit of a mix for me, bit of experience, bit of youth, but Fer Lopez, Rodrigo Gomez, Pedro Lima. I'd like to see a bit of that youthful innocence in a way.
I'd like to see some energy. I'd like to see some pace. I'd like to see somebody take somebody on, get the ball and be brave, go past someone, get across, have a shot. We've seen none of that in the last 2 games all pre-season.
We're too safe. Go and play and go and do your stuff. Agreed.
Absolutely.
But here's a question then. Are Rodders and Lima going to be here when the window shuts?
Yes. I think Lima goes on loan, I think. You can't hold 6 right wing backs in the squad.
So I still think
at least 2 of them have to go, surely.
We're going to run out of Brazil players to model that shirt, lads, if we don't keep Lima.
But I think there's a few surprises to go. I really do. I think Mosquera might go out. I wouldn't be surprised if Rodders doesn't go out as well. Lima will go out because I don't think he fancies him. So I want to play players who are probably going to be in and around the squad. And I'm not against the Holman piece. I think that's a good shout. But if you're going to play one of them, you'd expect it to be Mane because he's going to be in and around the team. But yeah,
he's just scored a lot of goals already, and I don't know. Do you benefit? Does it gets the crowd up? Doesn't it? Wolves fans love a homegrown young player coming through. It might just give people a lift. Who knows? Yeah,
not against it at all. I think there's arguments for and against, isn't there, in terms of what we do? There's arguments that we need to win a football match, and there's arguments that we need to see what we've got depth-wise in the squad. So whatever he does, going to be there, and I'll sit through it, whatever it is.
On Saturday afternoon, Molineux is certainly going to be touchy as Wolverhampton Wanderers take on Everton. That's going to be an interesting game. Must win, must not lose. I don't know, but it's a game where Molineux is going to be tense. Now, how different is that team going to look in comparison to the one that finished at Everton? Tyler?
The one that finished at Bournemouth.
I do apologise.
Yeah, I don't think it will be that much different. He doesn't tend to throw new signings straight in anyway, does he? He tends to take his time and beds them in. So I think Andre comes back in. I think that's about it, potentially. I don't think there'll be many more changes to the 11.
You not think the right wing back will come in?
Sorry, yes, Hoover's injured. And that's a part of the pitch that we need to be aware of because Grealish and Njai for them, although they're not world beaters, they're 2 very good individual footballers. So certainly have to be aware of that. So sorry, yeah, Hoover's injured, Jackson to come in, and then I'd fully expect Andre to come back into the team.
I'd agree with that. Go with that. Nocky, same?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that at all. As I said, I'll go to 3 midfield. I don't think there's a chance in hell he'll do that. The back line stays the same. I think Andre does come into midfield. Yeah, completely agree with Chris.
We are on episode 135 of the Wolves Report. There's currently 2,161 listeners and watchers. Thank you all so much for being part of this show. Drop us a like or a follow. That'd be very much appreciated. Also, those listening and watching on Catch Up, on Spotify, on all the other channels as well. Your support is appreciated. Prediction time. 1 week, 2 home games. We've not scored a goal. We're second bottom of the Premier League. Let's see what we've got. Nocky.
Stinks of penalties.
Stop. Oh,
it does. It stinks of penalties. Like I'll avoid penalties because we know what happens if Wolves get to penalties. So I'll go for a 2-1 Wolves win.
First scorer?
First scorer, Fer Lopez.
Fer Lopez in the cup. Wolves through to the next round. Tyler, cup prediction.
0-0 lose on penalties.
Yes, I just didn't want to say it because I didn't want to be too negative, son, but I forgot you were in.
Yeah, as bad as us, not mate. So you know.
Tyler, moving on to Saturday afternoon when Wolverhampton Wanderers take on Everton. Everton won this afternoon against Brighton today, Sunday, of course. Prediction and first scorer, Wolverhampton Wanderers v Everton.
I'm hoping it'll be the Everton that turned up at Ellen Road. And if it is, I think 1-0 to Wolves.
Here we go.
Strand Larson to open his account for the season, unless he's on his way to Newcastle.
I'm taking being out of the cup, losing on penalties, and being angry and listening to Nocky on the group chat, losing his mind with the 3 other people among you, absolutely going out of the cup. Nocky, your prediction?
I'm on holiday, so at least I missed these 2. But yeah, Nocky can watch them for me.
I didn't want him to say that because I didn't want to seem like the most negative person on here, but I think we lose. I think we get overrun in midfield. I think I'll give us a goal because it'd be nice to get one of them, wouldn't it? I think they beat us 2-1 and joy with the opener.
I'll go Wolves 1-0 in the cup. I'll go with Fer Lopez. And in the league game, I'm going to go 2-1 Wolves with Arias opening his account. This has been episode 135 of the Wolves Report. We'll be back in about 2 weeks' time. We'll be back, in about 2 weeks' time after we've done these 2 cup games. We've got an international break then. Tyler's on holiday, Nocky's on holiday. No one wants to sit here and listen to me talk for an hour. So we'll have a little break, maybe do a space if we get some fun going. Who knows? Thank you for joining us on the latest episode of the Wolves Report. Up the Wolves.